Crimea is ablaze again. Ukrainian drones struck a military base belonging to the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. A Russian assault boat off the coast of Zaliznyi Port was targeted by a Bayraktar TB2 and sunk. Radar eyes behind the front lines were silenced one by one. These attacks did not occur on the same day, but they all shouted the same truth. No front, no port, and no radar is safe for Russia anymore.
What happened overnight in Sevastopol will have very significant consequences. We are talking about multiple explosions that were reported throughout the night, and it seems like Russia is indeed losing control over their military bases in Crimea. So we're going to look at the footage of this fire that was so big it lit up the entire peninsula. There's a lot to talk about, but before we start, I would really appreciate if you show your support. Alright, so here we go. First of all, this is what the map of live fire points currently looks like. It does look relatively calm, but there is one location that stands out obviously in Sevastopol, in addition to the locations near Kherson, near Zaporozhye, Donetsk, and Luhansk. But we will focus on Sevastopol today. So first of all, these are the satellite images that show us where the incident happened. We can see the location of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, which is located right next to the bridge. And then we have the 209th Naval Base of the Russian Navy, which is the one that got hit overnight. You can see it right here. It's right by the coast. This image also shows the naval base. And since we're looking at it from above, we can also see the ships that were in the port. Many of them have now fled, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. The third location that was hit, although not as significantly, was the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Navy, which is located right next to the naval base. And this is where the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation was reportedly staying until recently. He is now gone. So the attack must have happened a little bit before he left. We don't know his current whereabouts, but he did leave. So let's take a closer look at what happened at the naval base. We know that at least 4 missiles hit this location. Now it's not clear whether they were Ukrainian missiles or whether they were in fact drones, because we have reports that the drones were used as well. Some of the sources say that the air defenses of the Russian army were active throughout the entire night, which makes me think that the Ukrainian army was using the drones. If they used missiles, I think it would have been a lot more precise. So it's very possible that it was drones that were used, but I cannot say that with certainty at this point. Regardless, we know that the attack happened approximately at 3 a.m. local time, and as a result, we saw multiple explosions. According to some reports, there were 7 explosions in total. Unfortunately, the video that I wanted to share, I cannot share it because YouTube has already blocked it. It's labeled it as sensitive content. It's absolutely crazy, but trust me, it is quite impressive. It is literally the entire peninsula being illuminated, so there's no way that this fire could have been small. Now, what is very important to understand here is that this is a major naval base of the Russian Federation. This is where their navy stays, where they keep their warships and their submarines, and this is why the Crimean Peninsula was occupied in the first place. Now, as you can see from the satellite imagery, this naval base consists of several piers. Several piers were damaged during this attack. And judging from the photos, it's not just a matter of debris on the water, but the piers themselves are severely damaged. But that's not even the most important part. The most important thing here is that according to our latest updates, at least 2 ships of the Russian Navy have fled. One of them, the Pit-Levy corvette that was undergoing repairs, managed to flee to the south towards the city of Yevpatoria. And the second one, the Rostov-on-Don, this is a landing ship, the Rostov-on-Don, which was scheduled for repair actually in September. It tried to move north but ended up grounding itself on the shallow waters near the Kerch Bridge. Judging from the photos, it's not entirely clear whether the ship has sunk or it's still floating, but it's grounded. It cannot move. It is stuck. So effectively, Ukraine just dealt a significant blow to the Russian Navy. I'm not sure if there were any casualties or not. I haven't seen any updated reports on that. But regardless, this is a major loss for the Russian Federation. But this is not the only loss. As a result of this event, Russia lost an S-400 air defense system. And we have the photo evidence to confirm that. The S-400 battery was located on the territory of the naval base. As you may recall, Sergei Erlin, the former deputy commander of the Black Sea Fleet, he confirmed back in January that the S-400 system was relocated from Syria to Crimea following the withdrawal of the Russian troops from Syria. So it was stationed in this area for quite some time now. Now, the strange thing is that the S-400 systems were originally supposed to defend the Crimean Peninsula against the missile attacks of the Ukrainian army, but now we see that they are unable to do so. They cannot protect even their own naval bases, not to mention the bases of the regular army that continue to get hit by the Ukrainian forces. By the way, I forgot to mention that during this strike, the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet was also affected. As you can see from the photo, the building was on fire. But right now, it's not entirely clear how significant the damage is. We don't know if it was completely destroyed or it's only partially damaged. But either way, this is a major blow to the Russian army. In addition to that, based on this footage, it appears that the command post that was located on the other side of the railroad tracks was destroyed as well. So overall, this is not good news for the Russian Federation. Now, we talked about the ships of the Russian army, so let's take a look at them in more detail. This is the Rostov on Don. I already mentioned it. This is the landing ship of the Russian Navy, and as you can see, it's quite large. These landing ships usually carry tanks and other military vehicles that can be used to conduct the amphibious assault. I believe this one can carry up to 30 tanks. So this is a significant loss for the Russian army. The second ship that was affected is the Pit Livy. Now, this is the corvette that was in dry dock for repairs. The corvette is smaller than the landing ship, but it's still a significant loss. The corvettes are usually used to escort larger ships, to patrol the nearby waters, to protect the convoys and so on. So this one was likely undergoing routine repairs. And judging from the video that I was not able to show you because it was blocked, it was literally on fire. The fire was spreading quickly, but the ship managed to flee, so it was taken out of the danger zone. Now, there's a good chance that both of these ships sustained serious damage during this event. It might have been a little bit easier for the Pit Livy to escape the fire, but the Rostovi Don, the landing ship that grounded itself on the shallow waters, is a complete loss, I believe. Now, the immediate reaction of the Russian authorities, this is what we know. First of all, they admitted that the naval base was attacked. This is not something that they tried to hide. It was pretty obvious because the entire peninsula could see the light of the fire. But in addition to that, the governor of Sevastopol, the city where the naval base is located, declared a martial law curfew from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. The curfew is still in effect right now. And in addition to that, starting from tomorrow, schools will be closed, meaning that children will not attend classes. So the city is effectively under the martial law. And it's not surprising because we're talking about the military base that was attacked. So it is logical to assume that there will be ongoing threats of additional attacks. Another thing that happened as a result of this event is that Russia deployed additional air defense systems. Not only the S-400, which we can see on this photograph, but also the S-300 systems were deployed throughout the peninsula. For example, one of them was deployed near the palace of the Soviets. That's how the governor of Sevastopol announced that. But in reality, the S-300 systems cannot intercept cruise missiles. So it's very likely that they will be used to intercept the Ukrainian drones if the attack continues tonight and in the upcoming days. The same thing is happening in Yalta and Simferopol. Satellite imagery confirms that the air defense systems were deployed in these areas as well. So that's what we have as of right now. As far as my predictions are concerned, I believe that this is just the beginning. The Ukrainian army is now capable of hitting targets deep inside the Crimean Peninsula. And as the Ukrainian army continues to liberate more and more territories, as they advance towards Melitopol and Berdyansk, for example, I believe that we will see more and more attacks similar to the one that happened last night. In fact, just recently, we had the head of the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine, the chief intelligence officer of Ukraine. He stated that the Ukrainian army will be targeting the logistics of the Russian army throughout the entire territory of the Russian Federation, which means that the safety of the Russian population cannot be guaranteed. And we already see that due to the liberation of Kherson, the Russians living in Kherson and Novokakhovka and Hola Pristina, they cannot feel safe anymore. They need to constantly worry about the possibility of the upcoming attack. And I think that this is just the beginning. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please, if you can, please consider supporting me because that helps me to produce these videos more often. Thank you.